Here we are on our second day of discovering Sao Nicolau by car, and it's really cloudy. We were in the clouds. I don't think Peixe, you have been before in the clouds? This doesn't happen in Sao Vicente, but look at this place. It's so green, it's so beautiful. We'll try to capture something. Maybe the clouds will move on later.
We had the car until 3 in the afternoon, so we got an early start. Peixe wanted to see his family in another small town called Jaqueline. There's basically only one road to get there, so we followed it, and at times took a spontaneous left out of curiosity. This would often take us to little villages which in many cases had a few colorful fancy houses. The fog had lifted on the coast so we could see its magnificence, as well as this magnificence.
There's a cow on the road, and then all of a sudden we go around this curve and there's another cow right in front of us.
This is one time a cow crossing warning sign was ever so true.
This place is good, man. I love it.
I had sailed along this coast several times and always steered well clear of it. From this perspective, I can see it's treacherous, shallow, and pocked with sharp rocks. We visited a relative located on the northeast shore of the island. Remote and inaccessible by sailboat, unfortunately. Peixe made the call with his mom so the relatives could chat. On the way back, we visited another relative, which I met at one of Peixe's parties in Mindelo.
Alex, can you grab this up?
And here, I got to meet some of her family. Later, we drove well up into the valley above Ribeira Brava to try the drone. While we were scouting a good spot, we met Amelia.
We just met Amelia here on the street. She invited us up. She's got a big story here, I'll tell you.
Amelia is a U.S. citizen living in New England. Like many Cape Verdean Americans, she's surrounded by family here, like this woman who's well into her 90s. She offered us her homemade stumperat and turned out to know Peixe's mother. Amelia explained how her father owned land here, and she was going to build her house on this land as a retirement home. I flew the drone and managed to get a few panoramic shots. But if I just managed to have put a memory card in the drone, we'd now be enjoying the shots. We had an hour to get the car back. The island is small and the road's impeccable, so we had some time to check out the panorama from the road. From here, we could see where Amelia hosted us and where she'll build her nice, colorful house to be added to the landscape of Sao Nicolau.
Okay, we're off again. Last leg of our journey. It's 7 o'clock in the morning. Just lifted anchor from Tarrafal. Looks like a nice day. Oh, can't see. These are my reading glasses. And we're just motoring along the coast for about an hour or so until we get into the wind. Once we get around the end of the island here, we should be getting a southwesterly wind. In other words, the wind will be coming from the northeast as usual, and it's going to be a pretty cool beam reach according to the forecast, about 15 knots. So cross the fingers that all goes well. So far so good. So far so far.
The huge mountains block the wind for a few miles up the coast. Gradually the wind and swell pick up. We had hoisted the mainsail well before that to be prepared with two reef precaution. And a good thing, because near those fishermen up ahead, the wind speed grew to around 20 knots. As soon as we were past them, I opened the Genoa to match the mainsail and started cruising. I decided we should hand helm as much as possible, give the autopilot a break, and keep us in good practice. Galopin really hit his stride. He seems to love this. These are the best of conditions out here. Big, regular swell, strong, steady wind, but not overwhelming. We are riding the wind on a beam reach, perfect 45-degree angle. We had 2 reefs in the Genoa, but it seemed Galopin wanted more power. And all of a sudden, bam! This wave hit the Genoa and pushed it all the way open. I'm convinced Galopin had something to do with that. You know, boats have a soul, in my opinion. They can do things on their own. As far as I'm concerned, Galopin lives. Thanks for the ride, mon ami. Was one of my fastest passages. We averaged about 6 to 7 knots, followed a direct bearing, and we got back to Mindelo well earlier than we'd expected. Soon Peixe would be back to his life on land, and he's actually quite looking forward to it. What a way to finish.
We're almost home! Peixe is almost home!
Hora de chegar na casa. Vai subir a Caleb, Nelson, Marlon, Eddie!
He's gonna see his 2 children, his dog, and his girlfriend! And his mother. Mother is number 1, actually. Yeah. He did this whole trip to salute all of his friends and relatives for his mother. So, yeah.
Maybe you have another boyfriend.
Okay?
Maybe you have another boyfriend. I have 2 weeks. I don't see it.
Peixe, don't worry. If she has another boyfriend, there's many fish in the sea. Hay muy peixe en el mar. Yeah, we're coming home to Mindelo after a nice long trip, and it's always great to come back to Mindelo. We love it. And once again, had great conditions. We're gonna have to just be careful here because it's always a little tricky gust. But we furled the Genoa, just going with the mainsail. Hit top speed of 8 knots with just the mainsail. Amazing. I love you, Galopin.
Peixe asked me if I'd still be around to come to his camping trip on the beach with his crew. I could not refuse. And I'm still waiting for Natasha, who confirmed she'd be back aboard very soon. But I still had to wait. So, off we went to Praia Norte. They call this a pasai. Basically, it's a weekend camping trip by the ocean. This was our spot, right here. And it was pretty crowded, as you can see. It's Saturday. First thing was to set up camp, then get a fire going to simmer the cachupa. I had brought a kilo of beef to add to the cachupa. But it was decided to cook the beef in a spicy sauce and serve it in buns as sandwiches. I was happy to see the light of day, as were the others. Some had slept on the beach. A little further down the beach, I was thrilled to see a lot of turtle tracks. They seemed fairly recent, so there must be quite a few nests buried. Best thing to do is to keep a distance and hope crabs and dogs won't find them and dig them up. Cachupa was ready for breakfast. That's the way I prefer it, with an egg on top and some fried fish. As well as coffee. I came up with the idea of adding grog punch to it rather than sugar. We dubbed it Café Creole. I slept terrible. The ground was hard, and I did not have a mattress. Even though I had drunk enough stumpara to numb the pain, I kept tossing and turning, swigging water, and going to pee. After that, I went for a nap. The ground had seemed to soften up under the weight of the several Café Creoles I drank. We spent the rest of the day doing what most people do on the beach. Playing games, eating, drinking, cooking more food, and sometimes dancing.
Dale, bésame, ven y atrápame. Hagamos jueguitos que de chiquito no pude hacer. Dale, bésame, ven y atrápame. Que ahora tú sabes bien lo que vamos a hacer. Dale, bésame, ven y atrápame. Ven y atrápame. Hagamos jueguitos que de chiquito no pude hacer. Dale, bésame, ven y atrápame.
Then it was time to go. Everybody neatly packed up everything and cleaned up.
¿Qué vamos a hacer? Dale, bésame, ven y atrápame. Hagamos jueguitos que de chiquito no pude hacer.
One last swim before being back in the city. As for me, the sea calls again. I would be discovering something quite spectacular with my new friend Eduardo. Stay tuned.